Have you ever noticed how some thoughts just won't leave you alone? A mistake from years ago, a fear of what could go wrong tomorrow, or that endless inner voice whispering, "You're not good enough." You try to ignore it. You distract yourself. But the more you resist, the louder it becomes. In Buddhist psychology, this cycle isn't random. It's the very root of suffering. It's what the Buddha called dukkha, the mental unease that comes from clinging, aversion, and ignorance. But here's the thing. These toxic thought patterns don't control you. You train them. And once you understand how your mind works, you can train it differently. Today, we'll explore exactly how Buddhist psychology can help you break toxic thought loops and awaken a more peaceful, resilient mind. First, let's understand the nature of thoughts. Buddhist psychology teaches that our thoughts are like waves on the surface of the ocean, always changing, never permanent. But most of us mistake the waves for the ocean itself. We say, "I am angry," or "I am anxious." But in truth, you're not the anger. You're the awareness that sees anger arise and fade. This awareness, called vijnana in Buddhist philosophy, is the observing consciousness, the space where all experiences appear. The first insight is this: you are not your thoughts. You are the one who notices them. When you realize this, even just a little, a gap opens between you and your thoughts. And in that gap lies freedom. So why do certain thoughts keep coming back? Why do we replay the same emotional pain over and over? Buddhist psychology uses the term samskara, which means mental formations or conditioning. Every experience you've ever had leaves a subtle imprint on your mind. A harsh word someone said, a failure that hurt, a fear that went unhealed. Each one becomes like a groove in your consciousness. And every time you think that same thought again, the groove deepens. This is how habits of thinking, both good and bad, are formed. It's not your fault. Your mind is simply repeating what it's learned to survive. But here's the hope. If your mind can be conditioned to suffer, it can also be reconditioned to awaken. Buddhism often talks about the monkey mind, that restless, chattering mind that swings from one thought to another. You've probably experienced it. You sit in silence for a few minutes and suddenly your mind is louder than ever. It remembers a problem from work, then jumps to something you said 3 years ago, then wonders what people think of you. That's the monkey mind in action. It thrives on chaos. But the deeper problem is that we try to control it by force, to shut it down or fight it. And that resistance only feeds it more. Buddhist psychology invites a different approach, not suppression, but observation. You don't fight the monkey, you simply stop giving it your attention. When you watch it swing without judgment, it eventually grows still on its own. The heart of Buddhist psychology is sati, mindfulness or pure awareness. Mindfulness doesn't mean emptying your mind. It means seeing clearly what's happening inside it, without labeling, reacting, or running away. When a thought arises, you simply note, this is anger, this is fear, this is craving, and then you let it be. In that simple act of noticing, you reclaim your power. You stop being the prisoner of your thoughts and become the witness of them. Over time, mindfulness reveals an incredible truth. Most of your suffering is not caused by reality. It's caused by your thinking about reality. One of the most powerful insights in Buddhist psychology is anicca, or impermanence. Everything in life is temporary. Emotions, pain, joy, fear, thoughts, even your sense of self. Think of your thoughts like clouds drifting across the sky. No matter how dark they seem, none of them last forever. The only reason they linger is because we hold on to them, replaying, reanalyzing, and resisting. When you remember impermanence, you start to relax. You stop fighting your inner weather and instead let it flow. Pain comes and pain goes. Joy comes and joy goes. Nothing stays forever. And that's not depressing. That's liberating. According to the Buddha, the mind clings to two extremes: craving, the desire for something pleasant to stay, and aversion, the desire for something unpleasant to end. These are the twin roots of our mental suffering. Toxic thought patterns often arise from this very cycle. You crave success, approval, or comfort, and fear losing them. Or you resist pain, rejection, and failure, wishing them away. In either case, your peace depends on what's happening outside of you, and that makes your mind unstable. The Buddhist path teaches equanimity, learning to see all experiences, pleasant or unpleasant, as just passing waves in the ocean of consciousness. You stop chasing and you stop running. You simply remain present. That stillness is freedom. Here's a simple practice you can start right now. The practice of non-identification. Whenever a toxic thought appears, instead of saying, "I am anxious," try saying, "Anxiety is present." See the difference? One makes it you. The other makes it something you're observing. That single shift changes everything. When you stop identifying with your thoughts, they lose their power. They might still arise, but they pass through you instead of defining you. This isn't denial, it's awareness without attachment. Another cornerstone of Buddhist psychology is metta, loving kindness or compassion. Most toxic thoughts are rooted in a lack of self-compassion. We judge ourselves harshly, believe we're not enough, and carry guilt from the past. But Buddhist practice reminds us, you cannot fight darkness with more darkness. You heal it by bringing light. When a negative thought arises, try responding with kindness. Tell yourself, "It's okay, my mind is struggling right now," or "I'm doing my best." This gentle compassion transforms the inner dialogue. It replaces shame with understanding. And gradually, your inner critic becomes your inner friend. Meditation is not about sitting perfectly still or escaping your thoughts. It's about watching the patterns of your mind with patience and curiosity. When you meditate, old thought loops will surface: fear, anger, craving, self-doubt. Don't resist them. Simply observe. Each time you bring your attention back to the breath, you're training your mind. You're rewiring its default mode from reaction to awareness. Science now confirms what Buddhism taught 2,500 years ago. Mindfulness and meditation can literally rewire the brain, reducing activity in the regions associated with fear and rumination, and strengthening areas responsible for compassion and focus. The more you practice, the quieter the noise becomes. So let's bring these teachings into everyday life. Here are 5 Buddhist-inspired tools to begin transforming your mind. First, name it to tame it. When a toxic thought arises, label it gently. Worry is here. Fear is visiting. Naming it breaks identification. Second, pause before reaction. Don't rush to escape discomfort. Breathe and give the thought space to pass. Third, see impermanence. Remind yourself, this is temporary. No emotion or thought lasts forever. Fourth, practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a hurting friend. And fifth, return to the present moment. Whenever your mind drifts to the past or future, gently bring it back to the breath, to this moment. Ultimately, Buddhist psychology isn't about positive thinking. It's about clear seeing. It teaches you to look at your mind without illusion, to see how it creates suffering, and how it can also create peace. Freedom doesn't come from changing your thoughts. It comes from realizing that you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them, vast, spacious, and untouched by their chaos. When you rest in that awareness, toxic patterns lose their power completely. So the next time your mind begins to spiral, pause. Don't believe everything it says. Just watch. Watch how thoughts rise and fade like waves. Watch how emotions shift and dissolve. Watch how peace quietly returns when you stop clinging. The Buddha once said, "We are shaped by our thoughts. We become what we think." So choose awareness over reaction. Choose compassion over judgment. And little by little, you'll realize the freedom you've been seeking was never outside. It was always within your own mind. If this message speaks to you, consider joining our community. Together, we explore timeless wisdom from Buddhist, Stoic, and spiritual traditions to help you awaken clarity, compassion, and peace in everyday life. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and let's keep walking this path of awakening, one thought at a time. Thanks for watching.